You know, in a world that's always buzzing with noise and motion, there's this silent, incredibly powerful kingdom that literally fuels our entire planet. Today, we're going to journey deep inside that world to uncover its secrets. Think of this as your complete guide to mastering the secret life of plants for your upcoming exam.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the plant as a tiny food factory. Then we'll see how that little factory feeds the whole world. After that, we'll figure out how it manages its energy, become detectives to find where it's hidden, and finally, we'll uncover the secret of how our planet actually breathes.
Okay, let's dive right into our first section. We're going inside the leaf, right to the heart of the operation, to see how plants manage to create their own fuel completely from scratch.
So let's kick things off with a pretty fundamental question. You see them everywhere, but have you ever stopped to think why a simple green plant is so often called a little factory? I mean, what are they actually making in there?
And you know what? The answer is actually brilliantly simple. Unlike us, they don't need to go hunting or shopping for their food. They make it themselves, using the most basic raw ingredients they can find. They are the ultimate survivors, totally self-sufficient.
Right, so every factory needs its raw materials and some kind of power source to get things running. Well, the plant's factory is no different. So what are the four essential things it absolutely has to have to get the job done? Here they are, the ingredients for life itself. First up, the power source, sunlight. It provides all the raw energy for the whole operation. Second, water, which gets pulled up from the soil through that amazing root system. Third, carbon dioxide, a gas that the plant literally just grabs from the air all around us. And finally, the real magic ingredient, chlorophyll. This is the green stuff in the leaves that acts like a tiny solar panel, capturing all that energy from the sun.
This whole incredible process has a name, and it is a super important one for your exam, photosynthesis. It is, pretty simply, the moment light becomes life. It's the process of turning sunlight, water, and air into actual chemical energy. In other words, food.
So what actually comes out of this factory at the end of the day? Two things. The main product is glucose. That's a simple sugar that gives the plant instant energy to live and grow. But the byproduct, the stuff that's left over, well, that's what allows pretty much all of us to exist, oxygen.
Let's move on and see how this all connects. We've seen what happens inside one tiny leaf. Now let's zoom way out and see how that one microscopic process is responsible for pretty much all life on our planet.
I want you to think about every animal you can name, from the smallest bug to the biggest whale. What's the one thing that connects them all? Let's think about this. Why are plants considered the single most important link in all of nature?
And here's the answer. This is the crucial part. Plants are what we call producers. They are the huge green foundation at the very bottom of the pyramid of life. They don't eat other things. They create the food. They're the starting point that everything, and I mean everything else, depends on. Without them, the whole chain just falls apart.
Now what's really cool is watching how this energy flows. First, you've got the herbivores, the plant eaters. They get their energy straight from the source, the producers. Then you've got the carnivores, the meat eaters, who get their energy by eating the herbivores. But if you trace it all the way back, it always starts with the sun and a green leaf. And let's not forget their other massive job for the planet. While they're busy making food for the entire world, they're also acting like a giant air purifier. They breathe in the carbon dioxide we breathe out, and in return, they give us the very oxygen we need to take our next breath. Pretty good deal, huh?
Okay, for our third section, we're zooming right back into the plant. It's a busy little factory, but what happens on a really sunny day when it makes way more food than it needs? Let's take a look at its amazing energy management system.
So, picture this. The sun is out, photosynthesis is going crazy, and this plant is just full of glucose energy. But it can't use all of it at once. So what does a smart factory do with its extra product? It can't just let it go to waste. Well, it does something really clever. It converts that quick energy sugar, glucose, into a much more stable, long-term storage package called starch. It's basically like the plant is packing away little energy bars for later, for a rainy day or a long night. And where does it keep these little energy packs? Oh, all over the place. In its roots, like in carrots, in its leaves, like spinach, even in its stems, like sugarcane, or its flowers, like broccoli, and of course in its fruits and seeds, like corn. And that's the connection to us. When we eat all those things, we're basically eating the plant's stored up energy.
So how does all this energy get moved around from the leaves to, say, the roots? Well, water is the hero here. It acts like the plant's internal highway system, a conveyor belt that moves those sugars to all the different storage spots. Plus, it fills up the plant cells, keeping them firm and strong, which is why a plant that needs a drink starts to wilt.
This whole storage system explains what happens when you put a plant in the dark. The factory shuts down. No sunlight means no new glucose, so it has to start dipping into its savings, using up all those starch reserves it packed away. And once those run out, well, the plant can't survive.
This brings us to a really cool part of our journey. We know the starch is in there, hidden away inside the plant. But how can we, as scientists, actually prove it's there? In this section, we're going to become starch detectives. Our main tool for this investigation is super simple. It's called the iodine test. Now, iodine solution by itself is this sort of brownish color. But the second you drop it onto something that contains starch, something amazing happens. There's a chemical reaction, and the brown iodine instantly turns this deep blue-black color. It's a totally clear sign that proves without a doubt that starch is there.
All right, for our final section, we get to uncover one last secret. We know plants make oxygen, right? But do they also use oxygen? Let's explore the beautiful, balanced cycle that connects every single living thing on this planet. Okay, this slide right here is so important because it shows two sides of the same coin. Let's walk through it. Look at photosynthesis. When does it happen? Only when there's light. What does it use up? Carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. And what does it make? Glucose and oxygen. Now look at the other side. Respiration. This happens 24/7, day and night. It uses oxygen and glucose to create its output, carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So yes, plants do both. They make their food, and then they breathe to release the energy from that food, just like we do. So, the most crucial thing to take away for your exam is this. Photosynthesis is the special job that only happens during the day, because it needs light. But respiration, the process of using that energy, that never stops. It happens all day and all night, in both plants and animals. It is the constant, quiet, and powerful breath of our living planet. You've totally got this. Good luck.